Team building is a concept that I feel like a lot of players understand at a surface level, but don't really understand all that in depth. Like, yeah, of course you want to pick characters that synergize with each other really well, but when it comes to actually figuring out your synergies, it's left a lot at categorizing the style of assist and leaving it at the general function it's associated with. For example, a player might see a high block stun assist and be like, this is for mix-ups, without thinking of its possible applications in neutral. This kind of surface level analysis is pretty common, especially among intermediate level players. I'm Dan, and in today's DashFight video, I'm going to show you some easy ways to start fully understanding team building in Dragon Ball FighterZ. And while this is going to be specifically talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ, you can also apply most of what I'm talking about here to other team games, just with a slight change in perspective. To start, the mentality when looking at other characters for your team needs to shift. Remember how I mentioned that a lot of players sort of stop at the surface level when looking for an assist? A good way to counteract that is to instead take what you're looking for and turn it into sort of a checklist. For the record, this guide is ignoring tiers and is focusing more so on the general mindset when building a team, so don't be surprised if you see some characters you don't normally see. To start, pick a character, not a whole team, just one character. Somebody you like playing, somebody you like from the show, etc. In this example, we're gonna pick Z Broly. Now that we have a character, we can start asking other questions. What is my win condition? In the case of Z Broly, his win condition could be multiple things. His neutral is great, with an amazing ki blast, a strong beam-like projectile, and a barrier that keeps your opponent from fighting back at range. And large armored normals let him press advantage in the mid-range as well. He's also pretty scary up close since he can stagger his normals and turn each blocked one into a potential mix-up with his command grab. So, we can take this and turn it into two separate win conditions. One, fight your opponent at range with your strong zoning options and lane them out, or two, try to get in as soon as possible and bring your opponent to the corner so you can overwhelm them. Now that we've identified a win condition, the next step is to look at our character's strengths and weaknesses. As mentioned earlier, Broly has extremely strong projectiles. His ki blast is insane since it eats other ki blasts, can be steered, and takes up a huge chunk of the screen. Eraser Blow is a great fireball that's both a great zoning tool and a pressure tool. He has an extremely scary command grab when combined with stagger pressure. His normals are huge and armored, with 5H being particularly standout, and his assists are also great, with his A assist being great for screen control and his B assist being an extremely versatile defensive option. In terms of weaknesses, his buttons are on the slower side. His 5L whiffs on short characters at range. His damage solo is on the lower side, and because of that, he's extremely resource reliant to squeeze out damage. It can also be a little troubling for him to play defense against the opponent in Okizeme situations, as his armor isn't active frame 1 and he has no meterless reversal. Now that we've established our win condition, strengths, and weaknesses of our character, we can start to build a team around them. So, typically speaking, an assist should do at least one of, if not more, of three things. Amplify a character's strengths, make up for a character's weaknesses, or do something specific to help enforce a specific situation or opportunity. The more of these three things an assist can do while also enforcing your win condition, the better. First up, let's focus on Broly's strong control of the neutral and his ability to lame out the opponent. In this situation, you want to look for other assists that are good at controlling the screen. The obvious answer here is a beam assist. Most beams are big, take up a huge chunk of the screen, and are easy to convert off of in most situations. But let's take a deeper look. While a traditional beam assist would help Broly in some really obvious ways, Broly already has a pretty good time controlling the horizontal space. In this situation, it might be worth thinking of an assist that controls somewhere else. Let's take a look at three assists here: GT Goku, Super Broly, and Base Vegeta. All of these characters have a beam or a beam-like projectile going at more or less a 45-degree angle, controlling a really strong part of the screen. Broly does already kind of command this space well enough with 8S, but the added beam coverage helps him fight back in a lot of situations. Without something covering this area, he's kind of a sitting duck against characters with a diagonal beam like Cell or GT Goku. So, picking a character that can clash with beams that also covers this angle is a really powerful option for Broly. Plus, it comes with the added benefit of allowing him to convert off of 8S without needing to burn a bar, which is really useful considering how meter-hungry Broly is. So let's pick GT Goku here. As just mentioned, it's a strong option for controlling that part of the screen, saves him some meter on conversions, and it also has a good amount of block stun which can allow Broly to extend his pressure as well. So, let's take a look at the list. This assist, 1. Amplifies his strengths by making his screen control stronger, 2. Makes up for his weaknesses by strengthening his coverage of that part of the screen, and 3. helps reinforce his win condition of laming out the opponent by controlling space. Now the next part is asking, how does GT Goku benefit from Broly? The biggest benefit right off the bat that we can see is that GT Goku kind of struggles controlling horizontal space at range, due to his lack of a ki blast and angled, highly committal beam. Looking at Broly's assists, we can see that his A assist helps to reduce this weakness. It provides GT Goku with a horizontal, beam-like projectile that can help him fight at range, while also providing him with an easier way to approach the opponent, as Broly's A assist is a fairly slow-moving projectile that's like 4 times the size of GT Goku, which allows him to run behind it to approach. Okay, now that we picked a character, on to the next one. Let's take a look at what we have so far. Broly and GT Goku combined make a pretty strong core for space control. At this point, there are 2 options. We can either double down on his space control, or try to reinforce his other strength, being his pressure. So let's take a look at some characters. If we wanted to double down on space control, we could consider characters like Super Saiyan Goku, or anybody else with a horizontal beam for that matter, or maybe Vegito or Janemba. If we wanted to amplify his pressure, we could go for a character like Jiren or Labcoat 21. But what if we wanted to try and cover both? Let's think about this for a second. Who has an assist that can both easily control space on screen while also possibly amplifying Broly's potential mix-up opportunities? Probably something multi-hitting, a projectile would help as well. If it could also enable tick throw situations, that would be good too. Let me present to you Piccolo. Piccolo's A assist shoots 2 fireballs at 2 different timings, and each stay on the screen and track the opponent. This allows Broly to enforce his projectile game by adding something to the screen that your opponent needs to deal with, because either they block it and Broly has a chance to pursue them, or they shoot a ki blast, beam, or try to super dash through it, all while leaving Broly open to do as he wants. Up close, it's an extremely strong pressure tool, as it basically allows Broly to enforce even more threatening pressure routes, as the orbs can fill in bigger gaps in block strings, as well as sort of forcing your opponent to stay on the ground, since if they try to jump a command grab, the orbs will just bring them back down. Now that we know how Piccolo's assist is strong with Broly, let's take a look at how it helps GT Goku. For GT Goku, it again allows him another tool to deal with opponents at range, while also enabling some unconventional pressure routes and strong Okizeme setups. For example, something you can do as GT Goku is extend a combo in the corner with the first fireball in his assist, and then finish the combo with a sliding knockdown before the second fireball comes out, forcing your opponent to block it on wake up. Now remember, we need to look at not only how one character helps the others, we need to see how all of them interact with each other as a whole. So let's see how both Broly and GT Goku can help out Piccolo. Piccolo is a character who can mix and schmix his way to a win, and while his neutral isn't abysmal, it's certainly lacking. But with the help of 2 really strong beam assists that control 2 different aspects of the screen, it can seriously help him kickstart his game plan. Broly's assist can be used with Piccolo in more or less the same ways it can be used with GT Goku, a good screen control option that lets him approach much easier. GT Goku can not only control space well as explained earlier, but his assist in particular can help mitigate Piccolo's lack of a meterless sliding knockdown, as you can end with his 2-1-4L, and then call GT Goku assist on the soft knockdown to make them block on wake up and keep your pressure going due to its block stun. Okay, so now that we have our team, the last thing we need to do is decide on who goes where, point, mid, and anchor. Thankfully, this is the easiest part, as most characters are pretty straightforward about where they can be placed on a team. Broly is a character that really works anywhere, so he should be placed wherever the others can't work. So that leaves Piccolo and GT Goku. Piccolo really likes being able to use multiple assists, and especially because of his lacking neutral game and the rest of the team's beam assists, I'd say it's pretty clear that he should be on point. GT Goku is almost always a mid on teams, and for good reason. He likes using an assist to back up his game plan while also liking a little bit of meter and gets a damage boost when one of your characters is downed. This puts Broly on anchor, which is fine with him because 1, you're going to probably be switching into him at some point anyway, and 2, a lot of his general weaknesses are made up for by being an anchor. His damage is higher thanks to limit break, and if he's anchor, he's probably coming in with a ton of meter. There are other builds this team could try too. Point Broly can really double down on space control with Piccolo mid and anchor GT Goku for example. And finally, the last part of all this, comprising a game plan for your other 2 characters. As you were probably thinking, GT Goku and Piccolo are their own characters with their own goals and win conditions, so we need to make sure it all lines up with those characters achieving those win conditions. This whole part was kind of passively answered throughout the video, but I want to specifically bring it up to make sure the message is sent. Look at each character on your team, and ask yourself what each of their win conditions and or game plans are. Then after that, try to find a shared line of strategy between all of them and try to make something cohesive. Piccolo is a hyper-aggressive character who wants to mix his opponent as much as possible, so opening with him and trying to earn an early lead with his mix-up potential is a good idea, so that once GT Goku or Broly come in, you can play a little bit more lame and close out the game. Alternatively, the Point Broly version of this team could play extremely lame from the start and just sort of outgrind your opponent until you can close out a win. The final step is to test, test, test. The only way to truly tell if a team can work is to test it out in some games. Stay aware of what you're doing and make sure to take mental notes of things the team is doing well with and what it's struggling with, and try to adjust your build or game plan accordingly. You might find you don't like a certain character and swap them out for something else, or maybe you want that B or C assist instead. Who knows? Hopefully this guide helped you gain a little bit more insight into what you should be looking for or trying to achieve when you build a team. Of course, the topic goes much, much deeper than this video, so don't feel like this is some sort of end-all be-all. If you had to compress this, the TLDR is, look for specific synergies, don't just shoehorn characters and assists into specific roles, and be a lot more dynamic with your thought process. Alright, what do you think? Do you agree with the method? Have any other questions or tips for team building? Let us know in the comments. And of course, we'd appreciate a like, and if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell. See you next time!